Welcome back, creatures of the night, to another twisted chapter of Boo You Gore. I'm Anetta.
And I'm Jade, and today I'm bringing you the twisted case of Bevan Spencer Von Einem.
I'm so excited for this one. I'm in a comfy tee.
You know it's serious when the bra's off.
Yes,
So-
I had to get comfy. I knew this one would be a hard one.
It's going to be a long one. I think this one may be a two-parter. But
Yes.
I figured it was always, I think I've mentioned a few times about wanting to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, what better time than now when old mate just kicked the bucket?
Yes, it's been all over the news. Obviously, he's been a big, I'm not trying to word, criminal, known criminal in Australia for such a long time.
It's like icon's not the right word because like icon's someone that you would idolize.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
yeah. But it's like if you know true crime, you know
who he is.
Von Einem.
Yeah, especially if you're from Australia.
Exactly. And it's crazy. Like you guys would have noticed by now that we missed a episode last fortnight. But between it being close to Christmas and work being hectic and the time and effort that I wanted to put into this case, it was just necessary. So
I let you just put your jadism all over it. I wanted to give you time.
And this was definitely one that I enjoyed diving into because especially being South Australian, it's one of those cases that, you know, you heard so much about, you knew so much about, but then when you go and actually look into facts, you're like, oh, that's a little bit different to what I knew. Yeah. So, because I think a lot of this case, like as you'll see as we get through it, a lot of this case is surrounded with rumour and innuendo, and there's fact.
I know like that he did like what he was known for.
Yeah.
And then I thought there was something that like, well, I always refer to where he chopped the limbs and like Yeah.
And it's funny because like the more, like I've read plenty of books on it, watched episodes on it, but researching for the case, it's changed my opinion on so many things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so curious now.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I've spent, 40 odd years
like
thinking.
Not passionately, but like really hating this man.
Yeah, like thinking about it all one way. And now the more that I've read through, like I'll get to the end.
So I was like half trying to say what I thought of.
This is my opinion. And again, could be completely freaking wrong.
You might like reread it and sort of have a different perspective on it now, not being in the heat of the moment of the research.
So we are, as I said, talking about Uncle Bevan Spencer Von Einem.
That is the most Uncle Bevo.
Right, Uncle Bevo. Bevy Spence. So he was like we just said, a very, very well-known name throughout South Australian true crime. So we're starting in 1979. South Australia is still on the edge, reeling after the still unsolved disappearance of the Beaumont children taken from Glenelg Beach on Australia Day 1966, the very forceful and public abduction of Joanne Ratcliffe and Christy Gordon from Adelaide Oval in 1973, and the tragic drowning death of George Duncan in the Torrens River in 1972. I didn't put a date there, so I'm guessing it was 70-something.
So was that the...
No,
this is a different one.
Oh, yeah, we're not even close to the torso yet. Buckle up, baby. This is a big one. So I'm starting right off the bat with a side quest.
Okay. I mean, it'd be Boo You Gore without a side quest.
Exactly. Strangely, it does all tie in. So, two men, including prominent Adelaide University lecturer George Duncan, were thrown into the river after a violent altercation with a gang of vigilantes. It's believed the men were angered by the fact that George and his friend were hanging out in a known beat. So no matter how you look at the case, it is nothing short of a hate crime. So for those who don't know, a beat is an area where, particularly in the 70s and 80s, gay men would gather and publicly have sex with each other because, there was no Facebook, there was no Grindr. The beat. They didn't have the social media hookups that you have now. So
Grindr and whatnot.
That's it. It'd sort of be, you'd go down there and if you spotted someone you liked, then it was on.
Yeah.
Witness Julian Clark said the assailants brutally beat the two victims. He told police he could hear hits landing and bones breaking before seeing the two men being thrown into the river and left for dead. George Duncan could not swim and he quickly disappeared beneath the murky waters of the Torrens. Realising that George was in trouble, one of the perpetrators jumped into the river to look for him, but he was unable to find him in the darkness and the murky waters. After searching for a short time, he got out of the water and the 3 men left on foot, running from the scene, with Julian Clark reporting that he heard one of the men yelling, "I thought faggots could float." So very obviously a hate crime. George Duncan, who had only arrived in Australia 6 weeks beforehand, sadly lost his life that night. Luckily for the second man, he managed to scramble to the side of the river and with a badly broken leg managed to pull himself up onto the riverbank. He was calling for his friend and unable to go any further due to his injuries. It was at this moment that a tall man appeared seemingly from nowhere to help him up and out of the water. He helped him towards the road and escorted him to the hospital. This man was a then 26-year-old Bevan Spencer Von Einem. So we start the story with him being a hero.
I thought you were going to say he butchers him after or something.
No. So in 1972, it was still illegal to be gay in South Australia. Although there were many witnesses to the night's events, no one dared come forward for fear of incriminating themselves. Don Dunstan, the state premier, offered government protection to any witness, promising no charges would be laid and no questions would be asked. So these people were too afraid to come forward about a murder because they knew that they would get arrested and charged for being gay.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
The protection opened the flood.
That's like the shit thing. Like, I get so mad every day listening to anything on the news or any story. Just the justice system in any country is just pure garbage.
Yeah. When I was doing this part of the research, I was getting so enraged, but then at the same time, like, it makes you see how far we've come in such a short time.
From the 70s.
These men couldn't even report a crime. Like, if they were grabbed and taken off the road, raped, bashed, whatever, they couldn't even report it because they themselves would be charged. And that was 10 years before I was born. Like, how did it take so long for us to come so far? Like, this part of the research was
you get like
doing me a
so
mischief.
Into it. You start typing furiously.
I was typing so quickly that, like, I ended up at one point, I had a blister on the end of my finger.
Oh my God.
Because I'd snapped that nail. So I was using the very tip of my finger to type with it. And I was so angry and I was searching and reading things and I'm like, this is bullshit. These men were being like, this guy was murdered and people wouldn't stand up for him purely because they're afraid of, like,
getting caught
angry
being in that place.
And like the fact that the government had to put in a make place law to save people so they could come forward, so witnesses could come forward to solve this murder. Like, they had to offer people protection because of how they lived their lives.
It's silly. Yeah.
It was so annoying. So, however, this protection opened the floodgates and people came forward with their accounts of the brutal beating, including witnesses who could actually name the assailants. Francis John Corley, Michael Kenneth Clayton, and Brian Edwin Hudson. These 3 men were identified as senior vice squad police officers.
No way.
Mm-hmm. So, due to the fact that police officers were allegedly involved, Donald Dunstan called officers from Scotland Yard to come and investigate the crime. This gave the appearance that the Premier was well and truly behind solving the crime. However, it was declared that there was not sufficient evidence that it wasn't just a friendly frolic and the officers were not charged, nor was it ever made public that the 3 men suspected of this crime were serving police officers.
Yeah.
Exactly
what we were just saying.
Yeah.
Like, they
kept it all so hush-hush, and they were literally, like, in papers were described as vigilantes and assailants. They were never mentioned. So one of the other things, another little side quest on the side quest here, one of the other things I found when I was doing research was South Australia is known as the, what was the word? The suppression state.
Suppression state.
So we offer the most privacy to criminals of any state in Australia. So there can be a court case and there's suppression orders on that court case that might say, you know, if you're in here, you're not allowed to say anything about point A, B, C, and D.
Mm-hmm.
And then there'll be like a suppression order on top of that suppression order to suppress them mentioning anything about E, F, G, and H. There's just laws upon laws upon laws that are stopping information about crimes and court cases getting out to the public. So when you think of the amount of, even just in our podcast alone, the amount of South Australian cases that I've done and the information that I've found on them.
And all the stuff that you can't
half
find.
of that shit. That's exactly right. There's
Wow.
so much extra information that I can't find because it's suppressed on
Top of
suppressed.
yeah.
So you think of things like the Hope Forest case, which was horrific, but what have they hidden? What's not been made public?
Wow. Oh, wow. You
Like-
want to just open the
Right,
box, just
right,
open
like-
Pandora's box, and
I want
every
to
detail.
know everything else. Like what when someone's, I agree with it through the trial.
Mhm.
Like, don't make certain details public. Once that trial's over and that person's found guilty, all those suppression orders
Give
should
out
be
their
lifted.
name.
So, however, in 1981, former Vice Squad officer Mick O'Shea, which another side quest, there's a pub down south called Mick O'Shea's. When I read this, I was like, I wonder if he owns the pub.
Does he?
I don't know. A former Vice Squad officer, Mick O'Shea, contacted a reporter at the Advertiser and confessed that the police had committed the murder and there was a cover-up to protect them. In February 1986, officers Corley, Clayton and Hudson were finally arrested and charged with manslaughter, 14 years after the murder. They went to trial in 1988, but were all acquitted.
Oh my God.
So even though they got to trial, still acquitted, and one of them, I can't remember which one of it was, one of them had received two promotions in that time.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Shut. Oh my God. Oh.
So this crime and public outrage surrounding it would become the trigger for the homosexual law reform in South Australia, with South Australia becoming the very first state to decriminalise homosexuality on the 2nd of October 1975. So as horrific as this was, it had a massive shiny silver lining.
Yeah.
So how good that we were the first state to be like, you know what? You can be who you are.
You don't have to hide in a
Exactly.
beat.
Because the way it was presented was basically this crime happened because these men were gay, and the officers hated them gay men because it was illegal. So if it's not illegal, that removes the hatred because it's not a crime.
Okay. Yep. No, that makes sense.
So that was how it was addressed.
The thought process.
Yeah. And it worked. They decriminalised it. This case was just another story of how South Australia had changed. What was once a safe, quiet town was now uneasy and wary. With homosexuality only recently being decriminalised in South Australia, gay men were still being both discreet and inventive in how they would interact with each other. Rendezvous were still kept secret, beats were still busy, and unfortunately this made it very easy for predators, as victims would rarely report their attacks for fear of the shame it would bring on their family.
So it would have still been very frowned upon.
Yeah. So it wasn't, I mean, I get, I'm very sorry if this offends anybody. I'm not comparing the two, but it's just the best way that I can explain it. I guess it's the same as how they've decriminalised marijuana. You know, there was all those years where it was like, oh my God, if you smoke pot, you're a dropkick and a loser and da-da-da. And now they've taken that criminality away. No one cares anymore.
Like, it's not such a big stigma.
That's it. It's like, if someone says, oh, I'm going to go home and have a cone, they're just like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it's not...
Like, people aren't being judged for it
That's it.
as they used to.
By decriminalising it, you have taken away the stigmata, but there's still people that would do it that don't want people to know. So yeah, total different subject, but same. Thanks.
My husband just made us food.
What a champion.
He's actually a really good cook.
I'll show you, I mean. So Annette is muted so she can have snacks. Okay, so during this time, it was reported that a group of men, and usually one woman, would cruise the streets of Adelaide and lure unsuspecting men into their car with promises of partying, free booze, and drugs. The victims that were being lured into the car were very seldom actually gay men. The group was never officially found, has never been formally charged. However, there is still strong suspects in the case: an accountant, a doctor, an ex-prostitute, and an unknown woman. Police believe they know who they are, but they can't find any evidence to move forward with anything. Witnesses would say that a white Holden sedan would pull alongside men walking alone, and after all...
So they'd kind of just, they'd just target anyone, really.
Yeah. So if you were just like a lonely guy walking down the street, they'd just pull up and be like, hey, do you want a lift?
With the excuse of it being a hate.
That's it. Like, we're all going to get drunk and party and blah, blah, blah. You should jump in the car and come with us. So after they would get in the car with the promises of the alcohol and the drugs and the, this woman sitting in the car and everything else. And, as rumour says, these were all upper class men, so they wouldn't have had that fear because they would have looked professional and respectable. So people getting in the car with them wouldn't have seemed scary. However, these men would then find themselves drugged and unconscious, and they would wake up in strange places with no memory of the night before, but obvious signs of sexual abuse. So they were being lured into the car, drugged, and then raped and dumped.
Yeah. Jesus. So not murdered, at least.
Yeah.
Not yet.
So many of these cases would go unreported until many years later. So once all of this stuff started coming out in the news, the cases that we're going to go into in a second, people would come forward and say, oh, I was grabbed by a group of men in, 1981, and I woke up in a cabin in the woods and I'd obviously been raped and I just ran and so
and then obviously wouldn't have wanted to report it back then.
That's it. They'd come forward with stories of hitchhiking, getting in the car with this group, and then waking up on a park bench with
obvious
signs. And obviously they had no memory of it, so they, even going to the police, they couldn't say, oh, it was this guy and that guy and that guy, because they didn't remember any of it.
Really, after a night like that, you wouldn't even remember who picked you up.
That's
it.
You
just kind of remember generalised. It was male, female.
To be fair, at the time, had they gone forward and said it had happened, police probably would have gone, okay, you're just gay and you're trying to find an excuse for it, and not cared anyway.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have followed through.
That's it. And as disgusting as that is to say, it was the times. So some of the cases would never actually ever even be reported, but it would just be friends talking to friends who would say, oh yeah, my mate was grabbed. They would still, even when everything came public, they wouldn't even go to the police about it.
At least they'd tell friends about it.
Yeah.
Get it out.
That's it. And some of the cases could never be reported as they actually ended in brutal deaths, like that of the 16-year-old Alan Barnes in June 1979. So Alan's family described him as being a responsible young man. He was reliable and dependable. So when he didn't arrive home on the night of June 18th, it set off alarm bells for his mother, and she quickly reported him missing. In the days leading up to his disappearance, Alan was known to be in the company of two unnamed men. These men were known to police and remain suspects in this case to this day. They weren't named. However, on the day he vanished, Alan was seen being picked up by a white Holden sedan carrying 3 or 4 men while hitchhiking along Grand Junction Road. 6 days later, Alan's parents would receive the devastating news that the body of the teenager was found after being thrown from the South Para Bridge. Forensic examination revealed he had died no more than 48 hours before his body was discovered, and it was immediately evident that he had been murdered elsewhere and then washed, redressed, and dumped off the side of the Williamstown Bridge.
Wow. Wait, so, which one's the Williamstown Bridge? So
it's the South Para Ridge in Williamstown. So I think it would be, if you're coming, say, from my shop to Williamstown, there's a bridge and the water goes under it, and there's signs all over the bridge now, no fishing, because people used to fish off of the bridge.
So it's quite a bigger bridge.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that one, because when I had a quick look on Google Maps, and that goes over the South Para Reservoir, and it's in Williamstown, so I'm assuming that's the bridge.
It'd be that one, yeah.
But it's not a hidden off the beaten track type of place. It's like he was just driving down a road and went, oh, here will do. Toxicology reports would find both alcohol and a large amount of sedatives in the boy's body, specifically Notec, a prescribed medication like Valium that would make it easy to control and disorient a victim. Also, this is a mad fork.
I didn't realize you're still holding the fork.
This is a nice, heavy...
I remember where we got it from. I think I just got it from Amazon. And they're black.
It's right.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's doing... So all my fellow ADHDers will understand what I mean about a good fork. Yeah. It's got a nice little head. It's nice and heavy.
Good
it's
size.
Black. It's a fucking good fork. I was holding it and I was like, this is my comfort fork.
It's from IKEA.
Oh, okay.
Go to IKEA, guys.
I'm getting some forks.
IKEA's going to sponsor us.
I don't even care if you leave that in. That was a good fork.
No, I'll leave it in. I like our side quests. You can stab someone with this fork. That's how good it is.
You could, yeah.
And not break
it. Wouldn't even bend. That's a solid fork.
Don't stab anyone with forks, please.
Public service announcement.
Take some positions. Oh, shit.
It is not known where he was held or what exactly happened to the boy in the 4 days between when he went missing and when he is believed to have died. However, what is known is that the lead up to his death was absolutely horrific. A post-mortem examination revealed that Alan had succumbed to massive blood loss caused by severe injuries to his anus, believed to have been caused by the insertion of a large blunt object, perhaps a glass bottle.
Oh my God.
Alan's body was bruised and battered and showed signs of severe beatings and torture. Pretty fucking twisted. So, due to the location of where his body was found and the extensive cleaning done to the body, police had little to no clues about who could have done this to the teenager or where he had been held while he was being abused. On August 28th, 1979, police would then be called to Mutton Cove, Osborne, where 2 fishermen had found a parcel. This is your mate.
My
Not
mate.
actually her mate.
I was like, what?
You're like, wait.
You're my only friend.
And this guy died like 10 years before you were born.
Before I was probably even in the country.
This was 1979.
Oh yeah, we came
So-
here in like 96.
Yeah, so well before you were born, well before you were even here. You weren't even in Australia then.
Yeah. I wasn't a true line. I was like,
Two fishermen. The 2 fishermen had found a parcel, and the parcel was 2 garbage bags, one inside of the other, and what looked like a human heel could be seen protruding from one of the bags. Police attended and were met with a horrific sight. It was in fact a human heel, and further inspection revealed the bags contained the dismembered body of an adult male. This male would be identified as 25-year-old Neil Muir. Neil's tortured body had been completely dismembered. His tattoos, fingers, and organs had been removed and placed inside of a plastic bag that was then placed inside of his dissected torso cavity.
shit. Yes,
So-
this is the one that I was referring
Yep.
to in the beginning.
This is the one.
So every time I see anything floating anywhere, this is immediately what I think of. Anytime I see a bag on the side of the road, this is what I think of.
So they had completely emptied out his torso. Everything that was in it was removed. Had cut off his legs, his arms, and his head. Had cut the skin off of his legs and arms.
I'm just looking at you visualizing this. Like visualizing you armless.
This
Like,
was cut off.
I'm a visual learner, okay?
They cut all the meat and skin and muscle off of the bones, packed them back inside of his body with the bag, so back inside of his torso, and then wrapped him in plastic bags, tied that up with nylon rope, and then tied rocks to it and threw it in the Port River.
And the Port River legitimately runs through the city. Like
Yep.
it's right on the outskirts of the city.
Yep. So these were found in Osborne, so like pretty much the port itself. So the killers had again cleaned his body. There was no evidence. There was nothing on the bags, in the bags, no hairs, no fibers, no fingerprints. But the one thing they didn't account for was the changing water heights with the tide.
Ah.
So obviously with the rocks and everything put on it, they expected the bag to be dumped in and not found. Police believe they found it the very next day. So as soon as the tide went down, it exposed the bag.
Mm-hmm.
So although the time of death was near impossible to ascertain, due to the condition of Neil's body, however, it was evident that the body had not been in the water for very long at all, and police believe it was dropped within the last 24 hours. So cause of death was suggested to be severe anal injuries due to the insertion of a blunt object, such as a bottle, and blunt force trauma injury to the head. Toxicology also showed traces of alcohol and methadone in Neil's system. So Neil Muir lived in Carrington Street, Adelaide, and lived quite a transient lifestyle. He was known to party, take drugs, and couch hop. It was also believed that Neil was openly gay and often spent time with 45-year-old Mount Gambier man and doctor Peter Leslie Milhouse.
Okay.
So witnesses would come forward. So even though they didn't mention beforehand the names of the people believed to be involved in this with Von Einem, here's Leslie Milhouse, who is a doctor. So I'm assuming he is one of the 4 that they believed worked together with him.
Mm-hmm.
So witnesses would come forward to say that Milhouse and Muir had been seen together multiple times, leading up to the discovery of the 25-year-old's body. And although all the evidence in the case was purely circumstantial, Dr. Milhouse would be arrested and charged with Muir's murder. Dr. Milhouse would be acquitted of this murder. So in 1981, 10-year-old Peter Stogneff would go missing after wagging school to hang out in Rundle Mall with his cousin. His parents noticed the disappearance of their young son on August 26, 1981, after they returned home to find his school bag hidden in the garage of their home. We've said it before, don't wag school. Don't wag school and don't climb out of windows. That's how you get dead.
Cool, guys.
So Mr. and Mrs. Stogneff would wait patiently at their home, expecting Peter to return after school hours. So they assumed he'd just wagged, and when school finished, he would arrive home at the normal time. When he didn't return home that night, his parents reported him missing on August 27th, the very next morning. So after hearing about him being missing, Peter's cousin told his aunt and uncle of the boys' plans for the day before. He was unable to make it to the city, so he didn't know if Peter had ever made it there himself. So at the time, there were no witness accounts of anyone seeing the boy travelling anywhere between He basically would catch the bus from Tea Tree Plaza to the city, and there was no reports of anyone seeing him catch that bus. So 10 months later, in 1982, a farmer was clearing his land on his property adjacent to Middle Beach Road. He was bulldozing and burning scrub to clear the land for farming, and the area was left to smelter and burn for approximately 2 days. On June 22nd, 1982, the farmer returned to his property, and while clearing debris from the burn, he located a human skull which had been exposed by the work on the land. He returned home, contacted the police, and a search took place. Skeletal remains were quickly discovered and quickly identified as belonging to the 14-year-old boy. So after the discovery of his remains, witnesses would come forward to say they had seen the boy at Tea Tree Plaza Shopping Centre on the day of his disappearance with an unknown adult male who has never been identified.
This is so sketchy to listen to and be like, I shop at Tea Tree Plaza.
Yeah.
I've been down Rundle Mall. Like,
And
it's...
the crazy thing for me, like, when doing these is, like, we live in a time where everything's recorded. There's cameras everywhere. There's footage everywhere. There's data everywhere. And I hear when I was researching this and writing it, I'm like, never identified. Why didn't they just check the cameras?
Yeah.
Oh, because it was 1981.
Yeah.
Even if they existed, the footage would have been that terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
They wouldn't have got an identification from him anyway.
Like the grainy ass Crime Stoppers.
Yeah, like when you just sort of see the shadows on their face.
Wait, guys.
Peter's remains had been so badly damaged from the work on the land that any evidence that may have remained had been destroyed by the fire. Due to the state of his remains, a cause of death could not be determined. However, evidence that the boy's body had been dismembered in a similar way to Muir remained. So I couldn't find anything to see if that meant that he was then parceled up and put inside himself.
Yeah.
Or if he had just had his limbs removed and had been dissected. Peter's parents refuse to believe that it's his body and they still await his return home. Isn't that
precious,
terrible?
Yeah.
I saw interviews with his mum and she was meeting with the other families and still sees herself as a victim of Von Einem's, but she just keeps saying, no, there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough evidence to prove that it was him.
So she was still in denial.
Yeah, because he was literally just skeleton and his clothes and everything had been burned. Like
it was very hard to sort of put, as much as you don't want to put his face to that.
Yeah.
To be able to,
That's it. And I think too, for them, because they wouldn't have been able to ID the body. They wouldn't have been able to look at it. There was nothing. He would have come back in a box.
Yeah.
So they don't have that finality of...
And that closure to be able to put him at peace because they haven't, I guess...
Yeah. They're like, oh, it's just bones. You're saying he looks 14, so you're saying that it was him, but prove it.
They don't want to believe it.
Yeah. Which that in itself is terrible. So on March 8th, 1982, a mutilated body of 18-year-old Mark Langley was found dumped alongside Sprigg Road, Summertown. Like in any other case, it was immediately evident that Mark had been murdered elsewhere and dumped along the roadside after being thoroughly cleaned. So as I was telling you the other day, I was actually looking at a house on Sprigg Road in Summertown as I was doing this research. Well, maybe not. But it's the same thing. It was just another area in the Adelaide Hills where he could have they could have just pulled the car over, pushed his body out and driven off.
Thought it was very secluded.
And just literally just dumped in a road in a town. Mark had been last seen on February 27th, 1982, at an 18th birthday party in Windsor Gardens. He and 2 friends left the party at approximately 1:15 a.m. and headed to the city. They parked on War Memorial Drive alongside the River Torrens. After a minor argument, Mark's friends kicked him out of the car and drove off. They returned shortly after to pick him up, but he was gone and he would never be seen alive again. Imagine how guilty they feel. Post-mortem investigations would prove that Langley had died from severe blood loss due to an injury caused to the anus by a blunt object such as a bottle. Mark also...
And that's, sorry to interrupt, like that's such a hateful thing towards it.
Yeah.
It's not like he was sexually assaulted, but it wasn't, how am I trying to say it? Like using a bottle, that's like a hateful thing.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm
It's
trying to
done
say?
purely to hurt him.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't see... Like, whoever's doing that, I don't feel like they're getting any sexual gratification doing that.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Is that
like,
they're doing it purely out of like a hateful place and a hurtful place. They're not doing for any... Yeah, it's purely to torture them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's sadistic as fuck. So, Mark also had a wound that ran from his navel to his pubic area. He had had a section of his bowel removed, and the hair around the wound site had been shaved, and the wound had been stitched back together with surgical precision. It's believed that the surgery had taken place to remove an object stuck in the teenager's bowel, an object like a bottle. He had been stitched up so professionally that it could have only been done by somebody with strong medical knowledge, like a doctor. Psychology reports showed Mark had the strong hypnotic sedative Mandrax in his system. So, to be super annoying, I'm going to give you a part 2. So, all we've really gone over so far is the first 4 victims.
And they're not necessarily connected to him 100%. This is all, I guess, speculation.
Yeah, so at the moment...
they're all similar.
That's right. At the moment, all they've got is the fact that 4 boys have been found dumped. They've all been killed the same way, and they've all been washed, cleaned, redressed prior to being dumped. So police know at this point that they have a serial killer on their hands, but not much else has been tied together yet.
Yeah, but there's not necessarily enough evidence to point anyone to the
That's
crimes.
it. Yeah. So we will leave you hanging on that one for a little bit, and you're going to have to come back next fortnight.
He's a lot to like we said about Ted Bundy or that, but I think because he's so known, whereas this one's not necessarily as known, and like all these cases, I didn't realize there was so many that were so tied together.
It's crazy because there's not that much information about them, again because of the suppression laws. That's like the information I've provided, that's all you can find about these cases.
Yeah.
So you can't find coroner's reports online. You can only find little dot pointed details. Like it would say, everything would just say they had been tortured or they were covered in bruises.
Dismembered.
Yeah.
Or
nothing. There was no real precise, like they were picked up from this exact spot. Everything's very, very vague.
Yeah.
Which, that of course is what led me down the whole avenue of finding out about all the suppression orders. And the murders in this case are incredibly suppressed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's some information.
Here's like little tidbits that are really fucking insane.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to let you know that they were killed. They were killed brutally. They were cleaned and they were dumped.
Yeah.
And that's all you get.
And I think one thing that I connect with such little info, what I connect to Von Einem with the one that he did get pinned for, that was such a hateful crime as well towards gays.
Yeah.
And this kind of seems like that sort of, not MO, but I guess MO.
Yeah.
Like a very hateful.
That's it. They all fit a certain pattern.
Yes.
They're all young men. They're all men that were alone. They were all, like, there was no planning to grabbing them. They were all opportunity grabs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they stalked a house for 6 weeks and knew that this person would be alone on this date so they could go and grab them. It was just, oh, here's this.
Exactly. Literally off the street.
boy alone and we can grab him. And that's exactly what happened. It was all opportunity.
Yeah. It's like deep down, Einem was gay and just didn't want
Oh, he's very open about being gay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. So he was just very hateful towards it back then because it was such a stigma to... Not stigma, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's a ride. There's a whole ride coming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to continue. So we're going to continue recording, but obviously we will just release them in 2 parts just to give maybe give yourself a little week of a palate cleanse of other podcasts because there's a lot.
No other podcasts. You don't listen to any other podcasts. You only listen to ours. Also, thanks to everyone who sent in their Spotify Wrapped and like the screenshots
that was really
of
cool
us
to see.
in it. That was amazing. That was really, really cool to see.
Nice to see that with people's like number ones and stuff.
Yeah. And like obviously we wouldn't have had that last year because we just launched.
Yes, that's cool.
So yeah, that was really awesome to see.
Yeah.
It was crazy to think that something we're doing is in people's... we had a few people that were top, like we were their top
point something percent.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see, not that we affect people, but that there's people actually listening to it.
And like I was getting messages because we missed the episode last week. I was getting messages like, excuse me,
oh really?
It's Friday, where's our episode? And I'm like, that was so cool. I have one of my friends messaging saying that she was so excited for this episode because she's like, I just put my headphones on and I work so hard when I'm listening to you guys. And she's like, my boss is just, look how good she's doing. She's got her headphones in. She's doing so good.
Focused.
She's like, if only he knew what I was listening to on these headphones. If any employment places want to pay us to keep their staff motivated, very open to that.
I'll give you a free pack of IKEA forks.
Watch me go and try and get them now and they won't have them.
I'm pretty sure they still have them.
Oh my God.
Because we went there not long ago.
I'm going to be so excited.
Yeah. We were just excited because they were black. We just want to black everything.
Oh, yeah. I feel that.
Right. I don't know how to end this. Well, it's not going to be like an ending. It's just kind of like we'll see you in the next one, guys.
See you for part 2.
See you for part 2. Bye.